Hello everyone, welcome to TV9 Digital. I am Radhika, and as we all know that in between the excitement of the ongoing Tokyo Olympics, a very big test cricket series is also all set to get underway. Yes, a 5-test series between India and England will begin on 4th of August, and the first test will be played in Trent Bridge at Nottingham. And to discuss the insights for the same, I have my two colleagues with me, Nikhil, who is data analyst, and Shubhain, who is the cricket journalist. As we all know that India will begin its England tour today, and the last time that India has won a test series in an English soil was way back in 2007 under the leadership of Dravid. So what you guys think, that what are the chances or what are the odds for India to win this test match and maybe the test series? Nikhil.
I think India has its best chance of winning in 2021, given what we've achieved not only in India during the inaugural World Test Championship, but also our victories in Australia, two successive victories in Australia in 18-19, 2021. India under Kohli and the mentorship of Ravi Shastri has a special team. It has the batsmen, it has the bowlers, and I think India can surprise England in England this time.
Yes, and Shubhain, what do you feel?
According to me, this is the best chance for India to win a series in England, because there are so many key players from England there who are missing due to injuries and unavailability. So I think without Ben Stokes, without the likes of Jofra Archer, Chris Woakes, I think England are a depleted side, and Virat Kohli, as we know, are a ruthless side. The Indian side is ruthless. So I think this is the best chance to capitalize on it and win a series on English soil.
Okay, and there's a lot of discussion, a lot of talks around Rohit Sharma specifically. So what do you guys think, that what are you expecting from Rohit? What are the records that we're expecting from Rohit? So Nikhil, why don't you go first?
Yes. See, Rohit Sharma is a special cricketer. His test career was almost, he was on his way down. But his dwindling fortunes were revived when India asked him to open against South Africa at Visakhapatnam in 2019. He got 2 centuries in the match, and since then he has been one of the best openers in the world. In fact, his average of 60.77 is only the second best after David Warner since October 2019. No one has scored more runs from the opening position than Rohit, or more hundreds than Rohit in this period. Although he has played most of his test cricket in India, but he was impressive in Australia when he and Shubman Gill put together 2 70-plus partnerships at the SCG, which gave India the momentum at the start, eased the pressure on the likes of Pujara, Kohli and Rahane. Also, I think a lot of pundits are very unfair to Rohit when they preempt that Rohit will fail in England. Rohit has actually just played 2 test matches in England. One was in Southampton in 2014 when he didn't open. He failed in 1 innings, but he got a decent sort of knock in one of the innings. And the other match also he played in Southampton. That was the WTC final against New Zealand. In both the innings he got a start, and he looked fluent. He looked good till he got out. So Rohit Sharma also against England in India, his 161 in Chennai against all odds when the other 3 in the top 4 had failed, was one of the greatest knocks produced by any opener in India. Given all these stats and numbers, and given the fact that Rohit is a change batsman now, he's more patient outside the off stump. Both he and Gill stood outside the crease to negate the swing against New Zealand in the WTC final. I think Rohit will surprise a lot of people, and even if he can produce even half of what he did in the World Cup, which was in a different format but same conditions, even if he can do half of what he achieved in the World Cup in 2019, I think India will have a great start, and we could look forward to a positive result.
Okay, and Shubhain, what do you feel about Virat? Like, moving on to Rohit, let's talk about Virat now. What do you feel, that will he be next in order? And there are a lot of talks about Virat and the rivalries. So what do you feel about Virat right now?
See, Virat, as a batsman, he last scored his international century in 2019, and since then all the fans have been waiting when the next century will come for Virat Kohli. But he has played good knocks. Even though he hasn't converted into centuries, he has looked comfortable. His data, whatever the stats are, he has looked in control in whatever innings he has played, apart from a minor duck or 2. And Virat Kohli, whenever he takes the field, we all know that the cameras are on him, the eyeballs are on him, the pundits are always speaking about him. So there is pressure on Virat Kohli, and obviously the battle against James Anderson and Stuart Broad will be very interesting to see. And Virat Kohli, with all his experience from 2014, 2018, this is the time for Virat Kohli to shackle the records and get his team going for a historic series win.
I hope he does. But Nikhil, what do you feel about Virat? What are your numbers or what are your data says about Virat?
So, since that Eden Garden century against Bangladesh, as he mentioned, Kohli has aggregated 345 runs in 8 tests, 14 innings, at an average of just 2-4-6-4, crossing a 50 on just 3 occasions. Yes, all those 350s came under pressure, but these numbers, I mean, are well below the standard of, King Kohli. I mean, they're poor. So, Kohli's failure percentage, which is basically the percentage of scores below 20 in this period, is as high as 64.29%, which almost means 2 out of 3 times he's failing. He has failed since the century against Bangladesh. Now, but Kohli is also in a league of his own. And we all know what Kohli did when India last toured in England in 2018, scored 593 runs with 200s. So, I think in spite of him being not in form, given what he's done in England and given what Kohli is made of, I think Kohli is going to bounce back.
Yes, there's another topic that's hyping up a lot. Obviously, there are injuries, but the man related to injuries right now is Ajinkya Rahane. So what do you guys feel? Obviously, he has said that he's perfectly fine. He'll be playing right now. But what are the chances that he will be there in playing 11? And if he is there, what are you guys expecting? That how will he be there on the field? Shuman, you go first.
So according to our sources, Rahane had suffered a hamstring issue, hamstring niggle ahead of the series. But now he's looking fit. He was looking good in training. And he will be under pressure, mind you, because even though he has played some good knocks, his consistency is something which is being questioned by pundits and fans and everyone. So, and KL Rahul, he has done well in warm-up games. He has scored 2 centuries, one before the World Test Championship final and one before in Durham. So he will be in hunt. He is in hunt to take up that spot in the middle order. So pressure will be on Rahane, and if he fails in a couple of matches, then I think he will be dropped in the series.
Nikhil, what do you feel about Rahane's consistency? What does the number says about Ajinkya?
Right. Rahane has been inconsistent, and ideally, I'm going to say this, ideally he should not be batting at number 5 for India. Ideally, it should be KL Rahul. Rahane is lucky that first Mayank Agarwal has got injured. Shaw can't play the first test due to COVID protocols, so Rahul will open in all probability, and therefore the number 5 slot is open for Rahane. Rahane has one great knock in the last 2 years, which is MCG, and it was one of the greatest knocks by an Indian in Sena countries. But apart from that, he had a 67 against England Chennai, again a very fine innings, but nothing else. No other noteworthy knock. In fact, his failure rate is as high as 45% since New Zealand 220, which is very high for a middle order batsman. For an opener to have that failure rate, one can still understand because you play against a new ball. For a middle order batsman who plays against the old ball, to have a high failure rate, almost close to 50%, is not acceptable in Test cricket. So, of course, Kohli and Shastri back Rahane, and he will play at number 5, at least for starters. But according to numbers, I think it's high time India move on.
Let's just see what happens. And talking about Virat and Ajinkya, another player that is a lot in terms right now, Cheteshwar Pujara. What you guys feel about him? That how is he going to play and what's there in his future? You.
Cheteshwar Pujara again is a curious case because obviously his slowish knock, the way he goes about his business has helped India before in Australia and other countries. But in England, you need that intent to score runs whenever there are bad balls. And that is where Pujara needs to capitalize. He needs to put that odd bad ball to the boundary fence. Otherwise, India will be under immense pressure. Yes, if he goes on to play 100 balls, it will help the ball to get old, and which will help the likes of Rishabh Pant and Ravindra Jadeja to come and attack. But unless and until he scores at least 50-60 runs in that 100 balls, it is going to hurt India a lot in England.
And talking about the numbers, what you feel about Pujara?
Pujara was India's hero in Australia in 2018-19. But since then, Pujara has been very poor at number 3. We can allow Pujara to consume delivery and play out overs. In fact, we want Pujara to do that, especially with Rohit opening with KL Rahul, both fluent batsmen. The runs will come. They will score at 3.5, 4. So even if Pujara bats at a strike rate of 30, it's acceptable. But Pujara has to bat out time and overs, which he hasn't done in England either in 2014 or 2018. And since 2018-19 Australia, again, he has failed 14 times out of the 30 innings he has batted. That is, a very high failure rate for a number 3 batsman, especially of the caliber of Cheteshwar Pujara, who is the new wall of India. Pujara has to blunt the new ball for the likes of Kohli and Rahane to flourish. Otherwise, India are in trouble.
In the first match, or maybe in the series, what will you say?
Last time against England in Nottingham, India won by 203 runs. So I believe India will take that confidence this time in Nottingham, and I'm expecting a win. I'm expecting a win for India.
Let's just hope. And Nikhil?
We've run well in Nottingham. India has its best win-loss ratio at an English ground in Nottingham. We are not good starters. We have lost the first test match in Sena countries, in all the 4 Sena countries. But there is a small sort of caveat here. This is not our first test match in England. We've already lost the first test match in a WTC final. So I'm taking this as a second test match, and I think India is going to win.
Thank you. It was great having you both. That's all for you in this edition of Summer of 21. For more updates, keep watching TV9 Digital. Thank you.